Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of A Conversation with Musa Wa Laikipia. Today we continue to talk about sex and sexuality, a guide to parents. Many parents are not very comfortable to talk about sex and sexuality with their teenagers, but it is our responsibility as parents and responsible adults who are listening to this to help our teenagers to have what we call respectful relationships. A time will come when our teenagers are on their own. Have you taught them enough on the issues of sex and sexuality? This topic has been left to teachers, has been left to the clergy, and sometimes our teenagers fall in the wrong hands of people who teach them these things in the wrong way. How do you help your teenager to have respectful relationship? Let me start today by saying that positive and respectful relationships are a very important part of growing up, and they will lead your child to having a deeper capacity for caring, empathy, and communication. Your support as a parent or a guardian is vital to them being able to understand what a respectful relationship looks like and how to create one. Most influential people in a teenager's life, of course, are the adults around them. And one of the adults around these young people is you as a parent, you as a guardian, you as a person who is responsible of this teenager. This teenager is under your care. And the single most important thing you can do is to be a positive role model by having respectful relationships with your friends and family and yourself, that you care about. Reflect on the principles that I will talk about today so that you can apply them in your own relationships as well as you talk to a young people. What does a respectful relationship looks like? You have to ask yourself as an individual, even as you talk to these young people. One of these things, I'll talk about only 5. Number 1 is communication. It is never assumed that our partner knows what we are feeling or thinking. It is very important for us to communicate. Even you, as you live with these teenagers, it is important for you to underline that communication is very important. The next thing is consent. And we are going to talk about consent in a different episode. But anything that happens in regard to the relationship happens with active agreement of both parties that are involved. But sometimes our young people do not know what is consent and what is not consent. And we will go deeper into that. A respectful relationship must have enough communication or efficient communication. There must be consent. And of course, you must recognize, and we have talked about this in another episode, the effects of our actions. Anything that we do, you must underline to these teenagers that they must recognize there is always an effect of their actions. Then, of course, respect. There must be a mutual respect. And we have talked about this in the previous, episodes about respecting your spouse, so that these teenagers can see respect around you. And then, of course, we dive into asking ourselves, how do we talk to our teenager about respectful relationships? Having these conversations about sex, relationships, and communication from a younger age makes it possible for a child to feel comfortable now that they are teenager, talking with you about their feelings and relationships in their adolescence. Number 1, encourage conversations about feelings, friendships, and family relationships. This will happen, understand and look for important qualities in relationships. Encourage the conversations about feelings, friends, and family. And when this happens, of course, it will make them to understand the important qualities in relationships. Then, of course, practice what we call the active listening. Listen to your teenager, what they are saying, and ask them, open-ended questions. What are you feeling about him? What are you feeling about her? What do you feel about this situation? And we have said, take any situation that even the TV brings and sprout a conversation. Then number 3, if they want your opinion, don't always be the person that you're starting to tell you your opinion. If they want your opinion, they will ask you. If you have created a good environment, the young people will be able to do about that. And of course, in our next episode, we'll talk about the important topics that your child, you can talk to your, to your child about. Being clear about what you want is very important. You need to talk to tell your young people that, of course, many people are afraid to talk with their partner, about issues of interest, about relationships. And of course, when you are teaching these young people on the issues of relationships, there's one aspect that you must always insist. There is a time for everything, and also for people who are religious. There is something there is that those principles and values that you believe. We believe as Christians that there is always a time for everything. Talk about what you expect a relationship to be like. Talk about what is or not okay to each of the partners. Talk about what the relationship should involve. Talk about the importance of consent. Check in whatever feelings, change, or something new that comes, to you that you have not talked about. These are just a few things that you need to insist when you're talking and when you're helping your teenagers to have respectful relationships. Remember, we are living in a time in our country where there are so many murders that are love related in our country, and therefore many young people, they may look around and see like there is no good example. You as a parent, you are the first influence of your child, and please give this positive hope to your child that there can be respectful relationships. People can live together without killing others. That one does not mean that people are not going to disagree at some point in life, because we all have different views, we have emotions, and sometimes we'll disagree. But you need to help your teenagers to have respectful relationships, because if they're not going to get into a relationship today, they may be the chosen ones. They'll go to university, they'll finish, they'll get job, they will now start relationships. Be assured that they will need these notes. But you cannot start talking to them when they finish and when they are ready to marry. You need to start now as a parent. And if you find yourself that still, even after listening to these 7 episodes, you cannot still speak to your teenager about sex and sexuality, please speak to us. At Destiny Shapers Mentorship Program, we offer support to teenagers, we offer professional counseling, we offer mentorship, and we offer reality counseling. Talk to us and we'll be more than glad to engage you. Remember also to like our page, to subscribe, and even to comment and let us know when and how we can be of help to you. Let us also know how we can help your teenagers. Follow our page and you'll see when we have forums that will support your teenagers. And when you do this, God will help you. Remember also to remind our teenagers that there is that what God intended as far as the relationship is concerned. That one will be in another episode on sex and sexuality, a guide for parents helping our teenagers to have respectful relationships. This has been your host, Musa Wa Laikipia. Thank you and God bless you. See you next time.